Well, hello everyone. Good evening, and thank you so much for coming out. And thank you to the Community Arts Partnership for having SingTrece and I to do this workshop with you. We're going to be talking about. We made a little fun out of the name and called it the art of the hustle, yes. Right? Turning passion into profit without losing your sound. And that's our translation from the broader topic that was provided online. And we're going to be talking about several different dynamics of this in the music industry, how to have a sustainable career in this digital age as things are evolving and changing. And we're going to share a little bit about ourselves. So I'm Destiny LaVibe, and this is SingTrece.
So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, so I moved here in 2010. But I was coming here to perform at the Haunt before they tore that down, which was a major space for people to perform as well. You missed that era.
I did.
I heard. It was such a good era. And when I came here, I was like, wow, this is such a good community. I like this place, but I didn't know how small it was. And when I moved here, literally moved here, I remember going around the corner like 3 or 4 times and still speaking to the same person. And I'm like, the same person. I'm like, hi. I'm like, okay, this Ithaca's very small. So I learned to meet a lot of people like really fast and quick because I was so friendly and was like, didn't care who I saw. I would always speak, say hi, and try to get to know people in that manner. How I got started in music, I started in Erie, PA. A little kid that was just like, I want to sing so bad. And I remember my dad taking me at like 8 or 9 years old to an amusement park, and they had this booth. And it was a recording booth, and you pay $5 in order to do a song. And so I remember running back to my dad and saying, hey, Daddy, they got a booth over there, and I want to sing in the booth. And he goes, oh, okay, here. Gives me the $5. And I remember running back over there, and I give the man my $5, and he opens up this karaoke book. And the only songs I knew was Whitney Houston. And I was like, I know Whitney Houston. And I was like, he says, okay. And he put the thing in. He says, go step aside the booth. So that was my first experience inside of a booth as well. And he said, just walk inside. He was like, what you'll hear is the music on the headphones, and then you just sing. And I remember singing in that thing with my whole heart and being. And I remember taking that tape, and I still got that tape to this day.
Oh, wow.
I still got that tape to this day. And I remember running back to my dad so fast and being like, hey, I did the song. And he was like, oh, okay, so when we were leaving the park, he pops the tape in. And he says, I thought you was going to play something you made. And I said, that's me, Daddy. He says, no, that's Whitney Houston. So that was my first experience with my dad, hearing my voice. And then him taking it to my mom and her having a whole bunch of friends on the porch. And they all playing it again. And them all saying, oh, girl, you can sing. And just that little spark in me is what got it going even more, because I was already singing in the church, but outside of the church, it was like everybody loves you in church. Let's be honest, because you're there to praise God and just, so stepping outside of that was like validation for me to be like, wow, you have a beautiful voice. Mm-hmm. And so I just kept pursuing that. And the first time I got paid, I was 10. And I happened to be at a wedding. And my mom, their wedding singer backed out, and they were like, oh, we need somebody to sing the Lord's Prayer. And I was like, I don't know the words, and I'm still that way today. And they was like, well, they opened up the Bible, and they, showed me the Lord's Prayer. And I said, okay, I know it. I knew the song, but I would forget I knew the Lord's Prayer, but I just couldn't remember it when I was singing. For some reason, it just did not connect for me. So I was like, okay. So they put the words in front of me, and I started singing, and they were like blown away. They're like 10 years old. And so from that point on, I knew that I could make money with my voice. So that is what sparked and that's what you see today.
Yeah, we were playing at the Cortland Porch Fest a while back, and we stopped playing it, and we heard this incredible recording coming down from the other end of the street. And I said, that's just really cool. Somebody has a They said, no, that's not, that is you singing. Oh. And we all thought it was the original recording of, I don't know, Dance in the Streets or something.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. We couldn't believe it was a real person.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And that's where my model comes from. I want to change hearts one positive note at a time. So as I went on, I went through different changes and trying to find myself in different music and trying to find my own sound. And so as my journey kept going on, I learned that being myself was the best thing that I could possibly do. Don't allow other people to pick my music. So I ended up getting into songwriting. First song I ever wrote was called I'm Waiting. And it was a song about a woman waiting for her man to come home, from jail. And then as I got older, I started thinking of it as a big, broader thing of like, how did the activists feel when their husbands went to jail? And the civil rights leaders. And I was like, oh my God, this is probably how they felt at that moment because they did nothing wrong. So it was like every so often I bring that song back up to kind of like play it again. But so as my music journey went on, I ended up getting a lot of bands. I ended up moving here to Ithaca and getting a Stone Cold Miracle, that is SingTrece and Stone Cold Miracle. And now I'm blessed to have my band, a SingTrece band, and I do my solo stuff. And and I just love to connect and collaborate with people. And I met this beautiful lady right here, Destiny, at one of my open mics, and I've been praying for her ever since, and she has just been like doing her thing. So that's your introduction.
I appreciate you. We have our own little sisterhood, so we will try to keep bringing you in.
Yes.
We have so much in common, and every time we talk, I feel like I learned something new that we have in common. So, like SingTrece, I grew up singing in the church too. That was an environment, but I was very shy. I remember just kind of being so afraid to sing, and I hid my talent for so long. I actually hid it. And I think at 5 years old, like I used to go on the front stoop and like I had a pretend voice. It wasn't my actual singing voice. But I loved entertaining, even though I was shy. It's very weird. And I used to watch Sister Act over and over and over again. When Whoopi Goldberg is doing reenacting the music of the 60s, the girl group. And I watched it over and over and over again until the VCR tape got stuck and wound it up. It was so bad. I would just sit there and rewind it. But I knew then, okay, I wanted to do that. And then at 6 years old, I went to my very first concert at Jones Beach Theater, which is a theater on the beach, to see Tina Turner.
Whoa.
And it was during the Wildest Dream tour, and she had the Golden Eye song out.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a golden eye and it opened up and she was just sitting in a chair. And she came down those stairs with those sparkly shoes, and I knew then, like, I want to entertain. I want to sing. I want to bring the same joy and happiness and entertainment and quality performance that she brought me. I wanted to do that. So I was always inspired by her story, inspired by so many stories like hers. And I hid my voice until I was 10. So when you said age 10, it's very interesting. I started coming out of my shell with some of my closer friends and my cousins. And we used to walk home from school, and I would be singing Brandy, Lauryn Hill, all those, that music that was out. And I was just singing it, not thinking I was really doing that great of a job. And they were like, oh my God, I'm taking you home to sing for my grandma. So, it just so happened that one of my dear friends' grandma was the over the arts and music in the church that we went to, that I had been hiding my voice in. And she said, wow, I stood right in her bedroom and I sang Amazing Grace. And she cried. And I remember she said, you're going to sing that at the next Easter program. So that's exactly what I did. I went through the whole first service. Then we got to the second service. And I went and I stood there and I started singing. And the drummer, who's known me since a baby, had to stand up and look to make sure it was me. And from there, I had these older cousins that I admired very much, that were like the fun older cousins, and they took me everywhere with them. And there was I grew up in Long Island, I'm sorry.
What part?
In Freeport.
Okay.
Were you from Long Island? Oh, where you from?
Bayshore.
Okay, Bayshore. I used to live in Bayport.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
way out, way out. Yeah, so we went to this bar in Mineola that played live music, which was a town in Nassau County. And, you know, I was 13 years old and they let me in there to sing. And I would go in there and I sing Aretha Franklin and Stevie Wonder and all the songs I was listening to. And they were letting me in to sing in this bar. And I was getting my first little chunk change to, you know, go and sing with this band as a feature. And that was really memorable for me. And then I ended up at Long Island High School for the Arts. I auditioned and I started to attend there. I was a vocal student and I trained in jazz. I hated singing classical music. I love classical music, but singing it, I couldn't stand it. I was so intimidated by it, but I was so grateful to get classical training and to get jazz training because it helped me to have technique. It helped me to be able to go beyond what I understood and knew from singing in church. It gave me musicality. And then there's that thing that you can't be taught. That just comes from inside, you know.
Absolutely.
And that was a beautiful time for me because I started to discover what I could do in a performance, how I could move people with my gift. And that meant so much to me. And then every summer I'd go to Berklee College of Music for their 5-week summer program. And I loved going to that because it was like a singer's paradise. You know, imagine all these other kids from all across the world.
Yes,
There
yeah.
were people from various countries in Africa and different parts of the United States that came together, all teenagers. And we shared our gift. We sang, we did ensemble work, we did individual work, we wrote songs, we learned electronic composition. And I felt that experience let me know that I could stand up with the best of singers and I was good too, you know, because you had to audition. And I got to study under Donna McElroy, which is an esteemed voice at Berklee College of Music. And she's trained so many celebrities on tours and stuff like that. And I felt that was good for my development. As I went into my adulthood, I moved away from singing. I did some off-Broadway, did dance. And I moved away from singing because I think, like most people, you go through life, and one of the things that I appreciate is that I allowed myself to go live life and develop and to mature and to pursue a college education and to do other things, right? So that I could become well-rounded as a person. And it wasn't until 2022 right before I met SingTrece that I decided to actually put music out there. And once again, I've always been kind of nervous, and you know, and people don't see that when they look at me, but I could be very nervous. And so I went skydiving because I said, if I do that, I'll lose all my fears. We're talking about our artistic journey.
Yes,
Jumping out of a plane was one of them, part of that journey. And I did that right before the single came out because I figured if I could lose all my fear, then no matter what happened after the music came out, I was going to be good. I jumped out of a plane. Like, and I promise you, I was completely shocked at the reaction because one of the songs that wasn't even a single went to number 6 on the UK soul charts off the first project. And I was like, oh, snap. I thought it was a fluke. But I was like, okay, I got something here. The bloggers were writing and the DJs in France were taking it and flipping it and doing all kind of stuff with it. And I was like, all right now. And January, I was just so engrossed in the creative process. I just kept making music. So I went right back into the studio right after the first album. And come January of 2023, I dropped a song called Starlight. And that went to number 8 on the UK soul charts. And then I said, okay, I really got something. I really got something. And, you know, after that, I always wrote music and created music for the live performance because I wanted to do it live. That was my end goal. Like, I'm glad y'all are listening, but I want you to come see it in person. And that was the beginning of like being a professional. And over the years, I had so many different touch points in music. Like 16, I sang with Patti LaBelle at the Westboro Music Fair. Just in 2023, I sang with Valerie Simpson of Ashford and Simpson. Like I had these touch points where I came in contact with musical people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in 2012, the Clark sisters
Yeah.
came to Charlotte. I sung with them, and so many different touch points. And I'm grateful that I've been influenced by so many people that I respect. You know, as artists, because it helped to shape and mold my sound, helped me to get comfortable with my voice. So in terms of like why I create because it feeds my soul. Like it feeds that deep unseen part of me, you know. I tell people like I have multiple careers, so I have a day job to pay the bills, right? But the creation of the music is what feeds me. It cares for that deep part of me that no one can see. And then I also share that out because the love that I put into it, people can feel that and benefit from that. And passion meets practicality right there, you know? I understand that to do the dream, there's other things that I have to do to make that happen. And that leads us into our talk today.
Yes.
About just making sure we set intention that we're not here just to talk about making money, but it's about making an impact.
Yeah.
It's about building community. It's about sustaining your art. That's at the very core of what we're doing. And as we're talking, I really want those of you that are artists in the room, if you support artists or if you're connected to artists, to really ponder on the question, what does success look like to you? What does success look like to the artist that you may be here to get information to share out with artists? For me, and SingTrece can share, it's creative freedom, it's financial growth, it's community impact, it's creating long-lasting legacy projects that people can go back to, music that lasts, messages that last. And you're welcome to share, sis. Now, what
Absolutely.
success looks like for you.
Success looks like for me is being honoring who you are as a person. Because at the end of the day, you can sell your soul all day, you know, and anybody can make it. But when you stay true to yourself, is what I've learned. It's like that's where the longevity comes from. Because you see people come in and you see people go all the time, and before you know it, somebody else is rotating in. But the ones that seem to be consistent and continue to be themselves and continue to grow, those are the ones that seem to make it. And so that's where I come from. You know,
True.
and yeah, and it's funny. I wanted to speak on when you said you did districts. Was it districts you did in high school? What was it?
Oh, Long Island High School for the Arts.
Yeah.
It used to be BOCES Cultural Arts Center, and they changed the name.
Okay.
Yes.
So they called it in Pennsylvania districts. So you would go to districts. So and learning a different evolve of sound, like going from gospel. I went from gospel to blues I went from gospel to opera. And so for 4 years I did opera. So if you have a chance to learn some other type of music, go for it because it just evolves your sound. And it teaches you how to breathe and it teaches you different techniques. So I just wanted to touch on that. If you're an artist and you're like, yo, I just want to, do something different and just kind of fill up. I sing all music, country, jazz, blues, R&B, and all of them are very, very, very different.
Yes.
And an involvement of sound. So I'm sorry, but I wanted to get
No,
that.
that was important. Yeah. And more to that point, I think that a lot of times as artists, we get stuck in what we really want to do
Yes.
rather than what is necessary to develop your artistry.
Yes.
As an artist, you don't want to be, have one avenue that you know how to do because you may get calls to do other things and you want to be able to say, yes, I can do that because your skill set and ability is transferable, right? So we could get called to sing national anthem or get called to sing something that's completely what other people might think is left field from our primary genres. But I always say that like being an artist is you extend beyond and transcend the genres.
And don't be scared to step outside the box. I'm telling you, don't be afraid. I mean, the only thing they can do is tell you no. And I feel like anybody that tells you no gets you closer to where you need to be. And if a person tells you no, say, well, can you tell me where I could go or what I can do? And that's been my model all the time. Like, no door is really closed for me. It's like, oh, you just gave me an opportunity to move over here. So.
And I think all of that is like helpful for us to understand like the very foundations of who you are as an
Yes.
artist before you even get into the modern music economy, money, the money market of the music. Because as SingTrece said, if you don't know who you are and you're not clear about your identity as a human being first and as an artist, then it would be very difficult for you to do the things that are necessary in this landscape called music and monetization of your music. So getting into some of that, you have many streams, one river when it comes to today's music industry. The industry has really shifted. And musicians are now having to become entrepreneurs, and they're having to become a brand, and they're having to operate as a business. And that is the mentality that this has to be approached with in this era. And you've evolved from just selling records because people are streaming music for free, right? So we're no longer dependent on record sales. So that requires us to diversify our income. It also requires other dynamics like, managing your own social media, which is not something that we had 25 years ago, right? Having merchandise, and not just merchandise, but relevant merchandise, right?
Absolutely.
Because t-shirts are not necessarily the go-to anymore. Perhaps a tote bag is more reasonable. Or a pen, right? So that people are gonna only buy things that they could use in this economy. So, looking at that, and then looking at live shows. Live shows have always been critical for the artists. That is one of our primary ways. But in this digital age, understanding that even that has become diversified because now artists are having to explore doing virtual concerts, virtual presentations, and sharing their artistry online, whether it's through ongoing music presentation with reels that are available for people to replay, or whether it's through buying tickets to stream a concert because it's not happening in person. And the pandemic showed us that that was a real thing.
But it also showed us that music doesn't die.
Yes.
Because me and my husband was like busy during the pandemic. So anybody that's ever doubting like, oh, music is gonna die out, it's never gonna die out. Music will be the last thing here. Sound will be the last thing here. So just hold on.
Even if all the speakers go out, people are gonna be humming and singing the songs they remember.
Absolutely.
We're gonna just so everyone knows, we're gonna do Q&A at the end. So if you want, we can try to preserve as many questions for the end. I think creating multiple streams and making sure that you market yourself as a business to stand out is extremely important. And I think in order to do that, there are a few things that are critical. You have to define your brand. If you're going to present as a brand, you have to define that. What is your sound, your unique sound? Not sounding like someone else, right? What is your sound? And that's everything from your musicality, your skill set, the uniqueness and the anatomy of your voice, right? It makes a difference. Your style and your story, which is very important and critical. And that's one of the things that I actually admire about SingTrece is how well she's able to storytell. I greatly respect that. Building an online presence is another layer. Social media, website, and consistent content. This is probably maybe the first time.
And I am so bad at social media. Like, I even got somebody helping me. I'm still not. But it's like a constant being online, like always having your phone and just capturing the moments. Like I dropped my phone one time and I was like, you know what? Somebody told me that every time I drop my phone to get down on my knees and pray. And I was like, I guess that's what I'm going to do. That video got, I think, 1,000,000 views like within a week. And I was like, that's the weirdest thing. I'm not even singing. But they just want to see you online, and that's not even a lot, but that's a lot for me because I'm like, I put stuff out. I might only get like 5 people, but then I get a lot of people that see me in the street and they're like, oh my God, I saw that video. That's really cool. So it's like, what you got to figure out what your audience want and what they want to see from you.
Yes.
And it's trying to find that rhythm, and it can be a little hard, but if you stick in there and you start seeing, okay, this video worked, you know, if it's you singing in your living room or your kitchen, whatever you have to do, if it's you walking down the street and you're singing, people are gonna want to be a part of that. I think it's more about now connection,
Yes.
because we have that so far, we just got so far disconnected with each other that now people want to connect. And if you think about how you interact with other artists and what you watch from them, if you look online, I don't know if you watch online on computers or if you're watching TV and you see your favorite artist, how do you like them to talk to you? What draws you to them, you know? And so that's something that you can use when you're doing your videos, like, you know, what do people like about me? Let me talk about this and let me sing about this or that and the other.
Absolutely. And I think that what people are looking for is authenticity.
Yes.
And one of the tricky things about authenticity is that it's perceivable,
Yeah.
right? So people's perceptions are their reality,
Yeah.
right? So people will look at you, and whether they perceive you to be authentic or not is on them, whether you're being authentic or not. So it's tricky. And that's why I think we have to learn by the data, looking at the data on our different social media profiles, looking at, okay, who is my general makeup? Who is the majority? What's the age group? What's the gender? What's the, you know, the time of day that they prefer to engage? You know, those kinds of details are critical, because then you can target and project your marketing and your marketing materials and strategy towards that particular population through your research. And I think that is very critical.
And if you sign up, I'm sorry, if you sign up, if you get like a YouTube page, all that data is there. So it ain't like you have to look around for it. It's like you go and tap data and all that stuff will show up of where you're played the most, where who plays it, who, male, female, and it shows all that for you. So you don't have to really search anymore like we had to back in the day. So
almost every social media has a dashboard of some sort where you can gather that kind of data. And I think one of the other things that creates success on social media, firstly, I think it's important for you to define what success means to you and not let that be something that's projected, because I believe that competition can be damaging.
Yes.
And you should not be comparing and competing. It should be individual.
Absolutely.
Oh, do you want to be a 10,000 follower person? Or 5,000? Like, does that matter to you? Or does it matter to you to put out really good content, right? And boost that one thing that gets you the 20,000 views and people actually go buy the music versus just getting some followers, right? So you've got to define that for yourself. But the one thing that I do think is critical that needs to be clear is that your quality of your content should be consistent.
Yes.
Right? If you have a brand, people know Destiny LaVibe has purple hair, right? So I have to wear my purple hair in my videos. And that's a thing, because it's recognition. It's people being able to recognize who you are. And that may seem like a silly thing, but the average person is not thinking very deeply when they're scrolling social media. So they have to be caught.
Absolutely.
You have to have those things that identify, oh, that's SingTrece. Okay, I see. Now let me tap on that and go in. I'm interested in her, right? That's important. The quality, the visual, the creativity of it. There are millions of people who are on social media creating high quality content that are competing for the attention of the same followers you are competing for their attention. And so what are you going to do to capture their attention? What is going to be creative? What's something they haven't seen before? And I think that that's extremely important in understanding quality. I think also having your own website is critical, because people want, if they're interested in you, then they can find anybody on social media, but your website is yours, right? I want to send people to my website, and that's critical. And I think that's a critical piece. And I think
you're looking for,
absolutely.
If you're looking for, because I know it's a little expensive doing websites, but if you go on Wix.com, you can actually do a whole website for free. And the only thing they have on there is like, if you want to get a plan, then you'll get the Wix taken off. But it'll say, when I first started, I was like, I'm going to get me a website because that's what I need. I want people to find me. I got on Wix and I typed in SingTrece, but I had to do it SingTrece /wix.com or something like that. And then when I got enough money, I paid for it, and now the site is mine, SingTrece.com. So people can go on there and find it. You can start with one page. You don't need 10,000 pages. Just one page. Put your bio up there, something short and sweet. Maybe put your album if you can, because you can also on Wix sell your music there as well. So this is like a one-stop shop. Like you can do everything there. Even if you don't do music, if you do something else, Wix is a very good site to go on. And again, it's not very expensive. Yes,
Is that WIX?
yes, yes, ma'am. But that is a really good site if you want to try that, just to get one page up and so you can direct people there.
Right. And I think in keeping with what SingTrece said, in the beginning, do what you can. Where, Rome wasn't built in a day. So despite not small beginnings, it's okay to start with what you have and develop from there. And I say that because I'm going to be honest with you, you are your biggest investor. Absolutely. As an artist. You are going to have to be your biggest buyer, your biggest investor. Your resources are going to be critical for your dream and for what you're trying to do. And I say that because I think that sometimes artists want to put the cart before the horse, right? Before other people buy into what you're doing, you've got to buy into it, right? And you've got to show that it's worth investing in. And when other people see what you're investing in, what you're doing, they will be interested in then investing. And as I said, though the competition can be damaging, this is a competitive industry.
It is.
Right. And so you can't not invest, right? We have to spend money and we have to create quality to stand out and we have to pay to promote it. And you should have a budget for your marketing. You should have a budget for marketing. Even if you say I'm gonna put aside $20 a month, okay, fine. If you don't have 20, do the best you can. But get your budget to where you have a budget for marketing materials, your marketing strategy. If you don't know how to make a flyer, learn how to make one. Use a template. Canvas is one of them. Canva, sorry. But there's so many others that you could use. I mean, it's up to you to figure out what works best for you. And in the age of AI, lean into it, right? Absolutely. So,
they will write your bio. They will do everything for you now.
You gotta know it.
It's scary and good at the same time. It's like I can't even describe it. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think, and as you're doing that, always staying on brand with what you do is important. So you have consistency. Collaborating and connecting. Well, let's go back. Know your audience, because that is going to inform your marketing materials, right? If you know that, a specific project that you're doing, like I plan to do a funk and blues project, right? I know that my audience is going to be a wide range, but there is a specific age range that is going to play to, right? And so even if I'm tampering with the modern blues dynamics to make it more relevant, there is a certain audience for that. So that means that my image, how I present, down to the photography, the choice of wardrobe, all of those things make a difference of who I'm trying to talk to, right? There are certain things that I can wear on the cover for my audience of 24 to 35-year-olds that I cannot do for those that are 45 to 65 and 65 and older. There's certain dynamics that have to be respected if you really want to be successful at it and reaching. And I think messaging is important. The visuals, what's attractive, what's not attractive. And that's what we talked about earlier when Robin was talking about taking the picture, right? It's so detailed what you have to think about. If I know that I'm top heavy, if I've got a little chin meat right there, take my picture from above me, please, right? Not because we're body shaming or anything like that, but because I want to appear in the best light. My image is critical. And I think that that's one of the things that we do have to be conscious of if we're going to be competitive in this. And I think moving forward, because I know we're probably
I
behind.
want to say this too. Also, starting in your community.
Yes.
Start in your community to find your fan base. You know, where is there a certain spot that you like to go to? Like I said, I went to the Hump when I first came here, so I was able to like jump right into the music scene and things that was happening here. And then that's how I got to know everybody that was doing music, because it was like all the bands that was known. I didn't know that they were known. I was like, hey, I'm walking up to them. Hey, can I do something with you? Can I do something with you? And I end up being able to know a lot of people. And then I started just getting out, knowing people, not caring if they in the music or not.
Right.
You know, and then eventually they just was like, oh, I like trees. And then it was like, oh, you sing? And then it was like I started being able to create that fan base. And I call it my SingTrece family, because I'm like, I want to go you in. I want to change your hearts. You know, we all been through something. So that's like my model of things. You know, I don't really you know, it's like when you said about image, and I had to learn I can't control what people do or take a picture of me, and it would drive me insane. I'm like, oh, I hate that picture. And then somebody said, you know what, Trish, you can't tell somebody what looks beautiful to them. And I was like, whoa. And so now when I see something, I'm like, that's what's supposed to be there in that moment, you know. So, but also, I also think Prince. Do y'all remember when Prince went to that, changed his name, and it was just a symbol? I think that mentality for myself. I'm like, wow, he was like, you know what, nobody is gonna own me. I'm gonna start my own label. This is what I'm gonna do. So I always tell people, do you. You know, there's too many avenues out here for you to make your own fan base and your own community of people that you can create the income from that. And like she said, I do voice lessons, you know, as an income as well. And my specialty is I teach you to find your voice. I'm not teaching you to find mine. You know, if you say, oh, I like this particular singer, I'll be like, okay, let's listen to this singer. We'll sing it. And then I say, okay, no, we're going to try something different. I work with kids wherever they are, whatever age they are. I'm working with them where they are. Yes. I also do a thing online called Fiverr. I don't know if anybody in here heard of it. Anybody heard of Fiverr? You heard of Fiverr? Heard of Fiverr? Amazing platform for artists. If you have a recording somewhere that you can record stuff, I actually had a portable recording studio. And what I would do is people would pay me to record their song. They would do voiceovers. They would do all this type of things. And that was my other income of like money coming in. Again, like you said, live shows. And the one thing I hear here in Ithaca is there's no space for people to go and perform. There's no space. And I'm so glad Alina's here. I know she's like, why did you do that to me? But I'm so glad she's here, because I don't know if you heard of K House. Did y'all hear of K House?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect place to go, right? Yes. Turn around and look at it. Turn around.
Yeah.
When you're working on your craft, use these environments to be able to go and try your new stuff. You never know that they might say, hey, bring your little speaker and we'll just have you play your own stuff out of here, you know? So I'm telling you, take advantage of these open mics and these different places, because you can also get feedback about your music and your material. But also, what you also do is get to know the owners and cause a connection with them. Like the downstairs, sad to say, she's gonna be closing, but she's also, someone is amazing, going to be opening it up hopefully really soon. But Ashley Cake was a jewel in this community of like opening it up for people that wanted to sing and didn't have like a big following, but they wanted to try like something new. I have done my open mic there for like probably like 3 or 4 years now, it's been a while. And I'm gonna tell you, I met some interesting people coming in and out of there. And I give them little nuggets, and the next time I see them, they're taking off. And it's like, okay, I know who listens and I know who's just here to have fun. But I'm gonna tell you, if you wanna do something, go to the place that you like. If it's a bar that you like, or a church that you like, or a community space you like, go there and say, hey, how much would you charge me to rent this space? That's what she's talking about, investing yourself.
Yes.
Go and rent that space and say, and you go and you call all your friends and your family, your co-workers, and you say, hey, I'm going to be doing a show on this such and such a day, and I was wondering if you can come. If you're a type of person that's like scared to say a price, say I'm doing a sliding scale, $5 to whatever you want to give to go towards my business or to my dream. And I'm telling you, you will be amazed on how many people will follow you. And that's just waiting for you to come out and do what you need to do. So that is one avenue that I just want to tell people, don't be afraid to go in these spaces because they're looking for places. They're looking for people to come in their space, draw people there. Even if you don't have a following, you can say, hey, I will put this on my website. I will do this to help draw people here. I will go do footwork to get people here to see me. So it's like a handshaking thing.
Yes.
So I always say, blow up in your community, and then all that stuff that you're doing, videotape it.
Yes.
All the back stuff,
Yes.
all the glamour shots. Do
Right.
that. Take a moment to go and call that one friend that has some nice pictures up, and say, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I need at least like 2 nice headshots or some really nice action pictures. That is just that simple. I didn't have money. I was happy to be talking to somebody, and I'm like, oh, I really need some headshots. And they were like, oh, my son takes pictures. And I was like, oh, really? Young man took pictures of me, and those were my first pictures that I had up. But as I went on, I kept gradually growing, and I would get people, and they would take pictures of me. So start somewhere is the whole process of it. I'm sorry, go for it.
Oh, no, that was awesome. I think all of that was very rich. And I think piggybacking on some of what you said, that's exactly how I got my start here. I visited SingTrece's at the downstairs open mic night and sang there for the first time here in Ithaca, and then ended up on the festivals and the downtown summer concert series here in the Bernie Milton Pavilion. And I did exactly what SingTrece said. I used my resources, and I partnered with sponsors in order to do shows at places like the Hangar Theater for the Circus of Love. And we did another show, Diomois Noir,
Oh, yeah.
at the Kitchen Theater. But
Those shows are really good. Like, they are like theater type things. Like, I was blown away the first time I saw this young lady perform. And she told me her dream. When she came to open mic, she was like, this is what I want to do. We went out and had lunch, and she was just feeling it. And I was like, girl, you're too big for Ithaca. I just came out and told her, I was like, you are absolutely magnificent. You put a lot of money and a lot of work in this. And when she did it, I was blown away.
Yeah.
So, if you're really into your craft and you want to go to that next level, you do have to invest in yourself. And you do got to, and it's amazing. So you get your money's worth.
Thank you. And we did state theater. All of these different places. And one of the things that I've employed is, once again, talking about who are we at the core as artists. My life has been greatly benefited by education. The whole reason I came to Ithaca was because I was an MPA student at Cornell and the Jebby Brooks School of Public Policy. And education was important to me. So I found an organization that I could partner with that supported education and had education programs, which is the Delta Sigma Theta alumni chapter and Ithaca alumni chapter. And I partnered with them for the Circus of Love show and donated 10% of the proceeds of the show to their education program. And then in return, they ushered for me, right? They sold products and some concessions. So those are kind of partnerships. Like the very first Soul Music Festival, I didn't come to Ithaca and complain about what wasn't here. I came in and said, this is a festival destination city, and there is no festival that highlights Black and Brown artists or the genres of music that our community created. Why? I can't give them probably the best answer is, well, because it hasn't been done yet, right?
Yeah.
So you know what? Through my role with the city of Ithaca and GIAC, I said, we're gonna do a soul music festival that honors jazz. And we did it in September of 2024. If you've heard about it, we had 1,000 people there for a first time festival. People from 3 different countries, 31 different cities, 7 different counties. And it was a huge success, but it was a partnership. And one of the things that I did was connected with organizations like Cayuga Health, because I had sat in workshops where they talked, I heard their pain points. We're having trouble getting people of color connected to PCP and healthcare services. Come table at our event and present. And we're gonna get people signed up for PCP right there. People struggling to get jobs. Come Wegmans, the city, Tompkins County. I called all the employers. Y'all get down here.
Yes.
Bring your tables. We want these people to find jobs while they're here. All Black and Brown vendors. And the reality is that as an artist, we are so much bigger than just singing. We are feelers.
Yes.
Right? We are what people feel coming off of us is stories and testimonies and struggles that we've overcome that they never saw.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
There's a compassion for people. There is a vulnerability that I see when I look at every human being. We are fragile. So as an artist, as much as we're strong, we're fragile. As much as we are singers, we are supposed to be social justice movers, shakers, changers. And how we do that is with our art, right? We may not be picketing, right, or marching, but there's a sound that evokes change that comes from us. There's that individual connection. And I think that is what should fuel whatever we're doing. And I think, as we think about like key revenue streams, right? All of what we're saying is very connected, right? Because you are the artist that's going to do all these actions, and it has to come from the right place, right? Because what you put out, it comes back, right? So, key revenue streams. We want streaming platforms, but we want to employ strategies for visibility and maximizing the payouts. Here's what I'm going to say. It starts from the very inception of the music, and I'm going to roll through these quickly for the sake of time. But it starts from the inception of the music. I have projects where I will produce the beat with the person I'm working with because it's something organic. I've got to get it out of my head, but also because all of my deals cannot be deals from a producer that I don't know and I'm giving them 50% of everything.
Right.
Because when you're buying these beats or instrumentals from online, if that's what you're doing, you're paying a large percentage because it's big business, So you're going to pay them 50% of all your very breakdown of your rights. And you don't want to do that every single time, right? So you have to measure that out. How many of these am I going to do like this so that I can internally feel like I'm not just hurting myself? Because it is a huge sacrifice to the artist when you're doing these collaborations. I think maximizing the payouts comes from the contracts, right, that you've set up with these people who are making the beats, or the band that is producing the music, or the guitarist that you're working with to get that acoustic sound. You've got to work all that out up front, and we'll talk about splits in a second. Digital downloads and physical sales is another piece. There's different opinions on things. I use a distributor. I use DistroKid. The reason why I do that is because I want maximum exposure. Now, I only make a 16th of a penny. Everybody that's putting up music through any kind of distribution site makes a 16th of a penny. That is the reality. You can I will look at the units and be like, I sold 11,000 units of this one song through YouTube ads from, businesses that pay to put their ads on your YouTube videos, or whether it be DJs that are playing it on the dance floor, different, ways that it's being, or the radio. You get paid every time your music is on the radio. The reality is that there is give and take, right? So I'm going to make money, and it may be a very small amount, right? So that's important to understand, but that's why I'm also going to have physical copies of a QR code that I could sell, right? And you can buy the music directly from me.
Yes.
I could, all those things, put it on your website, people be able to purchase. I think merchandise sales, we talked about that. Licensing and sync deals, this is a big one. I'm working with producers right now that I have made songs with. Drum Roll is one of my songs that went to 26 on the Urban Influencers charts. That was the first American charts I was able to get on, because the other ones were UK. And I was like, okay, wait, America's listening. I was so excited about that, But the point of it is that you have relationships. I try to build relationships with the producers that I'm working with. Like, we're making good music together. They're streaming your beat because my voice is on it, right? And they're streaming my voice because your beat is on it, because it captured them, right? So this is a codependent relationship once we've done music together. And so we want each other to win. And so I have a producer, his name is Elimar Makadeng Dang. He's from Hawaii. And he is one of the baddest producers I've ever worked with. And he has submitted multiple songs for me to Netflix shows. He's submitted, and those are the large payouts. Those are the $10,000 checks. But you're not gonna get it if their sound quality is not there. So we that's one of the other areas that I invest in, is making sure that when I make the music that it's properly mixed and that it's mastered. And that costs you way less. And when you really think about it in the long run, because it's gonna go further for you, whether it's getting a sync deal or whether you're getting royalties for it because it's being played in some club somewhere by a DJ that has a million followers, right? They're playing it because of the sound quality. So there's so much good music, so many good singers, but that is an investment. And I had to learn that the hard way from my first album, because I was like, listen, this is expensive. I don't want these beats, I don't pay those sessions. And I did not have the know-how until I sat down with a sound engineer and he explained to me, your voice is amazing. You don't need that much, but the production is important for the listener. You can sing very well, but that listener doesn't have a complex ear unless they're a musician. All they know is what sounds good and what sounds bad. So the production is important, and that's an important part of like that. The merchandise sales, we talked about crowdfunding. You talked about a little bit of that, but Patreon, Kickstarter, these are digital villages where you can literally create your own space. Now, Patreon uses like a subscription model for ongoing support. And so people can get exclusive stuff of yours. And then there's Kickstarter, which is project based, right? So that's based on you delivering a particular project. SingTrece, we're right here today teaching a workshop, right? SingTrece teaches far more regularly. I don't teach as much. Maybe one day I'll get there. And then content creation. I have music videos can be pretty pricey, but I can do them sparingly, right? Organic. Oh, you want to say something?
Yes. If it's too pricey for you, college right up the street. Hit the college, use them students, reach out to the professor, say, hey, I'm doing this project. I was wondering if you had any students that would like to make a video with me. A lot of them will do a pro bono. They just want to, get the experience. Use them. They would love to help you, no matter the age. They would love to help you. My husband is actually doing a video with them right now because somebody heard of him, was like, oh, you do comedy, let's do a video of you. You know what I mean? And these are college students, so don't be afraid to reach out to them as well.
And I started, my first music video wasn't supposed to be a music video. Me and Kelvin, Young Visuals, we got together and I wanted to just take some reels and to take some quick videos for my Spotify page. And what happened is we got in there, we only had 2 hours. We captured so many clips, we ended up with a video. So you can let things happen organically too. And I actually ended up, Riviera and Slash Music Group did a review on the music video and helped to make it go much further than I could have on my own. But that was completely like unplanned. Once we got the footage, I was like, we can turn this into something. And then the following video, I did an acoustic in-studio live recording. People love that kind of stuff. Those are less expensive ways to do a visual and to create content. And then there's all those organic moments when we're at home cooking a pot of greens or, people want to see that. They, believe it or not, people wonder like, what does SingTrece eat? Like, what's her favorite thing? They want to know those things about you. And so sometimes, that can play to your benefit. And then I just did a really good video, so I'm going to shameless plug. I did a music video called Carry On. It is so dope. And I got to talk about it because we had so much fun. But that happened because I had collaborated with a dance company for a live show, and I built relationship, and then we were able to do the music video together. I had someone that I knew from years ago that used to be my drummer that started a multimedia marketing company, and they're amazing at what they do. And they were doing brokering for if you need a videographer, if you need a band, if you need when you come into town, all these different things. I'm like, well, I want to do a music video. Do you have that? And they put together a package for me. So what I'm saying is that the content creation is critical because it is a marketing tool for yourself and for your music. And that's critical for sales because when you have more touch points, whether it's visuals, the audio, social media, then it's more opportunities for people to, patronize you.
And be consistent.
Yes.
Even though I joke around and say I'm not that good at social media, I do post every single day. I post something, be it a nice message. I'm about changing hearts one positive note at a time. So I'm always writing something positive. You will never get on my page and see a lot of negativity. It just won't happen. I might talk about what's happening today, but I'm trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's just my way of reaching people. So again, just be yourselves, and if you're making videos, do you. So if you play the guitar and you like playing the guitar and maybe you got two friends, have them sit there and play the guitar in front of them. I literally sang in front of my sister for an hour because I forgot to invite people to a birthday party. So I'm telling you, just do whatever it is and post that stuff. Like you laugh, people will laugh and be like, why are you so silly? How could you forget? And it causes conversation and connection. So yeah.
Yes. And I think that that's where the collaboration and community impact really comes into play. Because you're building relationships, like I said, with producers, videographers, other artists.
Yes.
It's hard not to feel for one another, even though it's different parts of the industry.
Yeah.
You want to kind of help each other. You meet that videographer and they like how you sing and you like how they shoot the footage. So you're like, let's do this, SingTrece and I have been plotting on doing songs and a show together for like 3 years.
Yeah.
We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. But I think understanding art as a collective power,
Yes.
right? Collaboration is what brings that new spark of creativity because artists we do hit stumps, right? And where you've got to go live a little bit more to get your next song, right? You've got to go through something that breaks your heart or that is positive and changes your life for the better to get that next inspiration. But there's something very special that happens without all those things when two people come together.
Yeah.
And that creative synergy and perspective that's being shared, it can produce so many things. Audience crossover, right? Now you're exposed to a new audience. SingTrece gets my audience, I get her audience, right? But then there's also that satisfaction that you want as an artist, that like we made something beautiful, that it's gonna last. And when it comes down to marketing that, now you've got double the trouble. Now you got to deal with both of us on your timelines. But it just goes to show that that collective power is really critical.
And I do believe in connecting with different people. Like I said, I like all genres of music, and people hear me sing, right? And so I'll be in Aldi's, and literally somebody will be following me around the store, and it'd be so funny because I'll be like, hi. And they'd be like, oh, I really like your music, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I go, they'll say, oh, and I play the instrument. I just moved here, or I've been here for a while and I just want to get back into music. And I'm like, you know what? Here's my number. Like, call me. I really don't mind working with anybody. It's about having that connection with people to, and to get the music out. So never turn somebody down unless, it's just not your thing, but be open to trying and working with new people in your community as well. So if you see an artist that you really like, don't be afraid. Like my mom used to always say, what are you afraid of? They put their pants on just like you, one leg at a time. So just walk up to them and say, hi, my name is, so it's like, walk up to them, hi, my name is such and such, and I really enjoy your art, and I was wondering if you would like to collab with me.
Yes.
And trust me, things will happen when they're supposed to happen. Like there's people that I was supposed to work with years ago, and I'm working with them today. Alina Kim is a perfect example. Like she was like, hey, I got the space. If you want to use it for music lessons, you're more than welcome to be here. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna come. And I stayed where I was doing my lessons, and then finally one day, it probably was like a year later. It was a while, and I was like, "Hey, is that space still open?" And she was like, "Absolutely." So she had open arms for me. I came in there and I had space, and it also opened people that never knew about K House coming up there like, "Oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful." And so people started coming and bringing their families. So it's like she said, it's a connection that you get with the people that's in the community. So I'm a big person of starting in your community first and then branching out.
Yes.
And the branching out now for us is social media, right?
Yes.
Because now we don't have to travel that far unless, you want to. Now we can touch them any type of way we want to. And having that Prince mentality, if you say, hey, I want to work for myself, be that entrepreneur, I had to start a label for myself.
Yes.
Because I got tired of people telling me what and when I can do it and hold on and wait and I can't do it at this time. And I said, okay, this is my life, this is my time, and I'm not getting younger. So I started a label, SingTrece Publishing Productions. I literally went and figured out everything, and I went to some people, and some people, but some things happened that that they wasn't honest about things. I had to learn the hard way, but I did not allow that to stop me. Some people stole my music, and I didn't know that I was doing my copyright, and I was giving my music away. But I was like, okay, God, if I didn't know and they got it, then you're gonna give me something better. So that's how I think about it. Does it hurt? I think about it absolutely, because your songs are your babies.
Yes.
But we're here to tell you, like, hey, copyright your music. What's the other thing? Copywriting
Publishing
and
and copywriting. And
I'm part of ASCAP.
Yep, I have BMI.
Okay.
Those are critical because
Yes,
that's how you get paid. That's how you get your royalties. You have to get an account. It's maybe $100 a year, and it depends on which one you get. But BMI,
ASCAP you pay one time. That's it.
Yeah.
BMI, I don't know if you have.
And each of them do have
Different
different
things.
benefits,
Absolutely.
right? So I think you pick what's best for you and look at the whole picture. Like BMI is gonna make sure that my splits are being paid out. So even though I'm getting my 16th of a penny on iTunes, and they're gonna make sure I get whatever belongs to me, right? That's important. And every DJ that's spinning those records, they register their lists as DJs of what they played, right? So those are critical things. And I think in line with what SingTrece said about partnerships, like your partnership should be done with a purpose. And I think that that's critical. You have to make sure there's alignment. And I've learned different ways, I'd have, I was just meeting people and people, oh, I want to sing with you. I want to do something with you. And I remember one time, and this happened here, right? I was working with somebody that makes beats, and we agreed on a certain number, and then we recorded the music, and then they tried to upsell me the beat by 100%.
That happens.
And I had to sit down with the sound engineer and literally sit down, because this was being co-produced, and say, this is not fair and we cannot do this, or else I'm off the table.
Yes,
take my voice off.
Absolutely.
These are my lyrics. And one thing that I always do is, even if I'm working with another producer, I always copyright my vocals, the acapella vocals, because people will take your vocal arrangements also. So all my stacks, I register them acapella along with my lyrics before anything goes out. And the other piece of that is making sure that when you're partnering, that you have your splits in a contract. This is how much we're going to split for the mechanical rights, the production rights, all those different layers need to be discussed up front. You don't want to get to the end of the project trying to be nice, right, and pleasant, and don't avoid hard conversations, right? You have to have those difficult, and it's not hard when you understand that it's a part of the business. And I think that that's critical. And one of the other things that slipped my mind I wanted to share about collaborations is making sure that things are on brand. Because sometimes people might want to work with you, but that doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah.
Right? If you know that, I'm just gonna give an example, and for everyone this is not a big deal. But if you know that your audience does not care for high levels of profanity in the music, and that's not what you do, and you work with someone that has that, which I had to learn the hard way, you have to be mindful of that. Either have a stipulation in your contract that there's to be no profanity, no vulgarity, right? So that way you don't offend your audience, because when you lose people, sometimes you lose them forever.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, because I don't do music. I don't cuss in my songs. And I remember people pushing me like, you gotta say this. And I'm like, I don't want to say it. I'm like, this is my voice, and I think that I sing good enough that I don't need to say that. I can convey that word without saying that word. So, I mean, and some people will be like, I don't want to work with you. Be okay with that, because you're standing in your own alignment. So I sing on hip hop. Rappers always ask me, can you do some hums on this? What is your song about?
Yes.
Is it putting our people down? Is it putting other people down? What is it about? And if it's too much, I just be like, no, I don't want to do that. And then they'll be like, okay, well, I got this other song. Okay, I'll do your other song if it's about this. You know what I mean? But I always make sure that I put my name on something that I don't mind my grandchildren listening to.
Yes.
My children are grown, they listen to whatever. But I just want to make sure that my audience feels comfortable. They know they feel safe with coming to me. So make sure you know your brand. And one more thing I want to say is, if you got a name, stick with that name. Don't change it 1,000 times. I'm telling you, you'll lose your audience that way. I know somebody, beautiful spirit, but got like 20 names. And I'm like, well, which one do we call you? You know? And it's like everybody knows this person is all these different names. And I learned that way early. I was like, you know what? I heard somebody at a church, I was singing, and they kept saying, SingTrece, SingTrece. And I was like, that's my name. And I've been rocking with it ever since. So find your name and your brand, to pop to you at once. Maybe you can use your name until then, but you want to be consistent on every platform as well. You don't want to have your real name over here and then have your stage name over here and part of your stage name on another platform. Have your stage name everywhere in the same thing, so people can be easy to find you.
See, I keep saying it. Every time we talk, we get together, I find out something we have in common. I figured that that's how your name came about. And very similar for me. Like, I would do, let me bring y'all back in. Like, I would do live performances, and people get a kick out of the fact that I'm screaming these high notes and get down on the floor and like swing my head in a fan, and the hair is blowing, and I'm just crawling and rolling. They just get a kick out of all that excitement. And people would say, you're such a vibe. You're such a vibe. Oh my God, you're just crazy, And it stuck. And I said, well, Destiny LaVibe. Let's make it French, Destiny LaVibe. Let's make it, sexy, right? And that's how I got that name. So it's really important. Like, that's how critical consumer feedback is. That, and like, even my genre, I try to defy the genres. I do a lot of genre blending and bending, merging and all that. But even the genre, like, the first charts I got on, they were naming me a new soul artist, which is a newer name for neo soul, right? And I had to own that, because even though that I was intending to be R&B, the audience that gravitated to me were the people who love soul. Whether it's soul, neo soul, new soul, it's all the same soul, right? So I felt that that's critical to share. When we talked about collaborations, these are important to know. When you're looking at these contracts, you want to break down all the musical royalties. That's mechanical, performance, and sync. Don't say, oh, well, I'll plan for sync later if somebody picks it up. No, because then someone can go behind your back and make a contract and your song gets synced. That person or the sync contractor is not going to go ask questions. They're going to say how much, they're going to name a price, and you're cut out.
What was the three?
The mechanical rights, the performance rights, and the sync rights. So the mechanical rights are paid when your music is reproduced or distributed. So when you put it through DistroKid and it goes to YouTube or downloads or it's being streamed, that's how you get paid mechanical rights. The performance royalties is when your music is publicly performed or when it's broadcasted. So like, I always get these Shazam notifications from Apple Music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, where they Shazamming from now? Because I can't keep up. Like Singapore, who is playing the music in a grocery store in Singapore? But somewhere, somehow, the music is being played in some random place that I've never been. Beautiful places, beautiful people I've never met. But that Shazam is notifying me, hey, you should also be getting some performance rights.
Right.
Royalties. So that's important, right? And I want to make sure it matches when I go to look at where I'm at. So there's sync royalties. So this is where your music is. That counts for the DJs too, just so you know. DJs should not be asking you to sing you your music. They should buy it, right? They're doing you a favor. But if you really support me as an artist, not just playing the music, but help me out too. It costs you 99 cents, to purchase it. And it's not completely about that, but it's also about relationship, right? If we have relationship, me and the DJ, that's different, right? But if I don't know you and we're just meeting, please buy the music. Yes, it costs you 99 cents, and you're gonna play it and you're gonna benefit from it, right? So there's that. And then I think the sync is whenever there's any kind of visual media that your music is being linked with. So movies, Netflix series, commercials, TV shows, all of that is important. You have to have what your percentages are going to be. I'm not going to tell you what they should be. You have to determine for yourself between the people you're working with what that's going to be. And when you're making these deals and you're sitting down and discussing contracts, that has to be part of the conversation is before we record any music, before we get our hearts all into this, what is your expectation for splits? So that way we're clear up front, everybody signs a dotted line. We never have to talk about it again because you're going to get my BMI ASCAP number just go. We don't have to talk about it again. Then we can get into all the fun parts. I think understanding those splits and determining, what's fair for a composer to get, a producer to get, what's fair for you to get as the lyricist if you write your music, what's fair, and formalize that. There's a lot of things, the live stream concerts I talked about, that is critical. You can really do some things. I'm working on stuff now, trying to figure out how to make that happen because then you can get rid of some of that overhead of having to market it and get people in the room. Like there's people who are from places where I haven't been booked yet, right? I've been a lot of places, but there's places I haven't been. Right, because I haven't broken that market there yet. There's not enough listeners there for me to make that kind of investment. So own your masters. This was the thing that came to me and I'm so glad. Oh, thank you. This is huge. A lot of us, we do not realize what it really means to own your masters. A lot of times when we go record and that engineer sends us that wonderful wave or that MP3, that is wonderful, but that is not your masters. Your masters are the stems. Whenever you record any music, you must request that sound engineer transfers all of your stems. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, whoever has the stems owns the masters. So you have to have them transfer the ownership of everything that was produced in that recording to you, or else you do not own it.
Can you just specify for all of us what stems are?
Stems, so the musical stems, absolutely. Yep, because we're down to the questions. Musical stems are basically whenever you go to record music, they use musical tracks, right? And those musical tracks include all of the musical instruments, or if it's just one track with all the instruments already sealed in there, your vocals. So I'm the type of singer, I have so many stacks, it's not even crazy. 75 lines. They're like, it's not music unless there's a whole lot of lines, right? Because you're creating, if you go back and look at Michael Jackson's music, Brandy's music, some of the great performers, their stacks are crazy, right? You get all those in there. He's just making sounds to give that effect when you hear the music to make it hit you, right? So those stems are whenever you've completely finished your music and you have 75 tracks, the stems are the end product of that. So whatever was mixed, it was mixed and mastered, that then becomes, it's a stem.
Like ad libs.
Everything. Your ad libs, everything from soup to nuts.
Yes,
Don't leave
everything.
anything behind. You need all of the pieces. Now,
And then you take all the stems and you put it back together again, and that's the finished song.
well, it's gonna come.
It's already
It's gonna come in a zip file.
Yeah.
So it'll come, and hopefully I'm explaining this better. But let me know if I need to clarify. So the stems they'll send it to you, and they typically will come in a zip file. And then that zip file, you can, if you own all of the music, you can't say you own the track if you didn't create the music, the actual beat. But all of those stems in your possession, that's your ownership of the masters.
Unless you buy the beat.
Unless
If
you buy the
you own
beat
it.
and you buy it exclusively
Yeah.
and it's not leased,
Yeah.
then you can, claim ownership. So,
Or if you created the music yourself.
or if you created the music yourself. So the thing is, those stems are critical because that is your masters. Because with that, you can make TV tracks, which you use for live shows, background. If you want to take out some certain parts in the lead and leave the background vocals, if someone wanted to remix it and take it and put it with take an R&B love song and put it on top of a house beat, those masters belong to you. When they want to make a remix, they've got to ask you for your masters. And this is how much it's going to cost for me to hand them over to you, to lease them to you, to do X, Y,
That's
Z.
like
I own them, you lease them from me. And the lease for a track or your stems could be, 10 years, 5 years, that's on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was one thing that I did not want to omit. Like, that is critical because I had to learn that the hard way.
Absolutely.
That I didn't own my masters just because I had the original recordings.
Absolutely.
I own it when I have the stems. And you will find that some sound engineers or producers will try to give you a hard time.
Absolutely.
And you've got to be shrewd.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, what do you need them for?
Yeah.
You've got to be shrewd. Don't tell them that you want to just have them because you're trying to own your masters. Tell them you need them to make TV tracks. Because you do need them to make TV tracks for your live shows. And that is true. But oftentimes they want to keep it because in case you make it big
They have it.
and you go and something happens and you take off, they can now control your access to your music.
Yeah.
And that is why people like Prince changed his name to the symbol, because he realized I produced the music, wrote the music, recorded the music, and the record label owns it.
Everything, even his name.
Right.
So you got to make sure that if this is something that you really seriously want to do, I would definitely look into buying your name. I haven't got mine yet, but I would say definitely look into that. That's in my mix now. Like, I've been trying to find somebody to help me do it. But definitely do your name, do your publishing, productions, all that stuff. Get in the TuneCore and speak up for yourself. That's like the biggest thing.
See, two
because people
questions.
take advantage of you.
Now, you had a question earlier, and then my friend over here.
It was just real quick. You said the mechanical rights was the performance royalties and what else?
The mechanical rights, the performance royalties, as well as the sync royalties. She was asked, so the question was to clarify which royalties you should be making sure you contract for.
Okay, and I did have an actual question.
Sure.
How do you find your brand?
Well, the brand is who you are and what you create. It goes hands in hand. So we talked about earlier your sound, who you are, your image, all of those pieces, your message, all of that's part of the brand. And it could be from any, like, one of the things we should know what SingTrece's brand is, right? Changing hearts, one positive note, and that is her brand, right? She's singing and delivering a performance to change the condition of the heart, whether it's from sadness to gladness, right? Whether it's from misery to joy, right? That is her brand. So those are things that you can tell by. You can create that by coming up with whether it's a slogan that's true to you or something that's a tagline that explains what are you intending to do.
Yeah.
If you are looking to, I mean, like I said, some of it gets down to your image. Like, I have to make sure I have on my purple hair today because I'm Destiny LaVibe at this table, right? So I say I may not be Destiny LaVibe when I go to my daughter's school, right? Because I want to, I would like to have that be separate and intimate, right? So
Or you could be like me and just do it all the time.
And just do it all the time. And some days I want to be Destiny LaVibe all day long every day, and some days I don't. I want to be cool and relaxed. I think that that's very individual, but your brand is who you are. It's your sound. One of the things about my brand is people recognize the vocal quality, right? My singing voice is very sultry, but I have a very wide range. And people look for me to go up and down the scales. And when they listen to that music, they're enjoying the tone all throughout the beginning of the song, but they are waiting for me to get to those high notes and to do those runs and to knock them off their seat, right? That's actually a part of my brand, right? When it comes to the live performances, I can stand there and sing pretty. If I don't move and get down on that floor, if I don't dance, if I'm not sparkling, and if I don't have any feathers and tassels going, they're like, where's Destiny LaVibe, right? Who is this lady? She's an imposter. But it just goes to show, like, you have to find that for yourself, and that is getting to know you, getting to know your art, and you might need to take time to find that by going back and listen to what you've created. Go back and listen to your music. How does it make you feel? What does it do for you? Go back and look at a live performance and say, wow, what did that performance just invoke? What came through the screen?
And don't be afraid to change it. Because when I was younger, I was young. So I would sing songs, and then when I got a little older, when I got in like my 30s, I was like, I don't feel that way anymore. And I remember writing like a sexy song, and I seen how it made people feel, and they was, would want to grab at me and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't like this. I changed again. I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. And so I went into like, I want to sing about my relationships, and I found that worked. And sing about other people's relationships. And my first album, I'm Waiting, it was about me waiting for somebody, or waiting for love, waiting for joy, waiting for people. And it took, now it's what, 2025 about to come out, 2026 I'm coming out with No Longer Waiting. So it's like, I'm still telling you about love, but I'm no longer waiting for any of those things to come to me. I'm gonna give it to myself. So you do want to know, you will change throughout, so don't feel like you got to stay in that genre. If you start listening to your stuff, you'll be like, that's not who I am anymore. Don't be afraid to change that. And music is always evolving. We're always
evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
We're evolving, and we're complex, right? There's part of me that want to sing, will want to sing love music, and then there's a part of me that does want to sing the sexy music, and then there is a part of me that wants to sing the fun music, and there's a part of me that wants to sing the gospel music and the rock. Don't put yourself in a box, but it is important to explore yourself and the multi-dynamics of who you are and tap into all of that. And like one of the things that I do is like, I'm not putting myself in the box. I've written songs from everything from social justice to love to sex to taboo, all the things, because I write from the place of humans, we are imperfect, and that is a permanent state. All humans, none of us are perfect. We're never going to be. Well, we're layered, we're complex, and we're so many things. And I try very hard to remove the shame and stigma from certain things. And because otherwise I'd be lying. Like I have written songs and like even in newer projects, like making myself be honest,
And that can be
so
Yeah.
hard, you know, and how much of my audience can handle this, and how much am I willing to sacrifice? Like in the second project, I did some rapping, and like some of my UK fans that were, you know, of a certain generation were like, "Oh, I don't care for the rapping," and then some people were like, "Oh my God, I love when you rap, I love when you freestyle," because they're like, wow, she's got an urbanness to her, right? So it's something that comes out, but it's organic, right? So I think that like, don't deny yourself to be yourself. Your brand has to be you, because you are the business.
Yeah.
So you know, and understanding that you is packaged, right? So you put you in a package.
I always tell my husband, I'm a walking product. Like every day I walk out that door, I expect for people to see me, expect people to be like, hi. Literally, I can't stand in front of my front door without 10 cars or 15 cars riding by and I'm being like, hi. And I'm trying to talk, hi. You know, so I know that I'm my brand, you know, and it's okay. You know, I'm okay with that.
Yes.
So anything that you're doing, I would honestly just be yourselves. Thank you. And Mike, I think you had a question as well.
Mike.
Something I wanted to say about.
Before you guys go, the front door is locked, so there's a door right to your right that you would exit. Immediately to your right.
By the way, she said something about movies and stuff. Sometimes people think like, oh, that's very out my, that's too big for me. Don't think like that, because there's people here that write movies. Right here in this town, this is like a jewel. Ithaca is a jewel. And I'm gonna tell you, you could be sitting around somebody that writes a movie and you'll be having a conversation at the coffee shop and you can literally be like, hey, I just heard you talking about this, that you got a movie coming out. Do you need music? Okay, so it's that simple. You don't have to think that it's like, you know, it's out of your reach. Everything is in your reach, and especially within your community. Like I could say Mike here wrote a movie, right? Didn't you just write something, if I'm not mistaken?
I was in a movie.
You was in a movie. I thought, didn't you write a piece too, as well? A film? And so, I mean, so again, you're sitting in a room with somebody that y'all had no clue who writes films, that you could be like, oh, wow, hey, I got music. What type of music are you looking for? And fit yourself in that genre if you want to, is what I'm saying. So I'm sorry, Mike, could you get your question?
Ooh, I almost forgot. So,
as you see, I like to plug people.
So there's a contract, it seems like, for everything. Why isn't there a contract for stems?
So the that's what the actual contract that you create for your mechanical rights are for. So in terms of like this, your stems are your masters.
Right.
So if you were gonna sync your song, when they request the music, they're going to ask for your stems. They're gonna ask for the whole music production. If you are not comfortable doing that, you can work it out to where you can send them a wave or something like that. That's all individual. But sometimes they want to buy it from you, right? So you've got to determine, do I want to sell it? Is it gonna make me enough to where I don't have to be concerned about losing what I could have made over time? Like that is so individual. I think for the stems, you should have a contract to request your stems, but we're in a shiesty business. So, you know, got to be shrewd too.
The language you use is you should have a contract to request your stems. The contract shouldn't be that you need to request them. The contract is, I want my stems, or this is the deal, I'm going to get my stems.
Now,
I think it depends on how the recording session is developed, right? If you're working with a producer who's bringing you into a recording session to work on a project, or there's a relationship, you can discuss that, right? Because they're acting as a producer, right? Not just a sound engineer. But when you're going online and just booking a recording session, or you're, randomly, choosing, a studio. If I, like, for instance, I've gone and I've recorded music at a studio in Maryland, and I had to request my stems, right? So it's requested because they don't know. They work with 1,000 artists a month or however many. They don't know who wants their stems or not, and the average artist is not asking.
Asking for them.
So
Yeah, they
it's
don't
not
know.
always, and then in this day and age, you've got so many sound engineers that are not, they were not sound engineers by
Yeah.
profession. They didn't go to school
Yeah,
for
they just
sound and
know.
you know, they just created a
Self-taught.
studio, self-taught, and they don't even have the awareness that you need your stems. They think that they're theirs. So I think, and they don't understand that those are the masters. It was actually a sound engineer that taught me to ask for the stems. So, you know, I had to learn it from somewhere. So I think you could essentially set up a contract with your sound engineer, but sometimes that's just not the nature of the relationship
Sure, yeah.
or the way that you're booking spaces. And I think that is why, to me, the best practice, what's worked for me, I can't speak for everybody, what's worked for me is, these are the versions of this that I need. I need all the stems so that I can make TV tracks, right? I also need a cappella. I need it with the leads, without the leads, because I want my vocal arrangements, right? And I want to have it clear for the Library of Congress that these are my vocal arrangements. I did this with my voice. There's music going on or behind, there's composition, but my voice did this.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you strip those vocals, that music ain't nothing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the other way around.
Yes.
So I would say that it's depends on who you're recording with. Producer, relationship, get a contract. Sound engineer, tell them what you want.
Now, these stems, are they like the original individual tracks?
Yes.
That then, so it's all the sound separated, and because you got them, you have the rights to them, then you can remix them anytime in the future.
Absolutely.
If you got like you're doing a television ad, and we want just the bass line, the instrumental part,
Right.
then you've got the right to say, okay, I'll sell them to you,
Or you might get
or
absolutely.
lease them.
Lease them.
And you might get a DJ. This has happened to me. I had a DJ out of France. He's an amazing DJ, DJ Yoda. He's very popular French DJ. And he asked me to make him a drop line. I didn't have a drop line. So, but because I had the stems,
Yeah.
I could go in wherever. I recorded a song in Rochester. I'm living in Ithaca. I've got to drive an hour and a half, to give you a drop line. And some of that you can do at home if you have at least a basic setup.
Yeah.
But the point is I still needed to have the stems to be able to do that. So, even down to those kinds of things, you can get to the point where you need to have them, and you can't have anybody holding on to your stuff.
I've had that happen, so I learned from experience.
I think we had a question.